Good evening, everybody. This is Tim on the buzz, and I'm with you all the way till 8 p.m. Now, I was talking to you about how, everything with business, you know, good evening, everybody. Now, Tim is here on the buzz. I'm with you back again, talking to you everything business, technology, entrepreneurship. I mean, last night we were talking about how, the couple of sisters have been getting into the real estate market during the COVID pandemic. And they basically, regardless of the struggle that they had, they looked at, diversifying their portfolio into real estate and then started sharing houses actually. And we got down the line into understanding how they went off their mortgage, they started sharing rooms, they started uh, retouching places up and then renting it out for higher prices. Basically, this gave them a solid, if it was a profit there alone as well. Now I'm coming further into cool stories with, because of the fact that there were so many, teenagers, there were millennials. I mean, everyone was basically looking at different ways as to how they could approach reaching, their net worth or increasing their net worth in the last, year when we were just, locked at home. I mean, me personally, right? Because, I think most of us just realized that, that one stream of income was just not enough, right? And regardless of what, I mean, depending on the industry at least you were in, you were at one point just trying to understand how far you were, depending on the industry you're in, at least, it depended on if you're in the tourism, if you're in logistics, if you're in, travel. Basically, you didn't have a good time, right? Regardless of which country you were in. But coming into things like logistics, these came up again, tech came up again, social media came up again. I mean, these industries boomed. So, like I said, coming into the understanding of how now I also always talk about, understanding what different entrepreneurs have in terms of their spending habits, in terms of their mindset, and even overcoming, different challenges down the line. I mean, with your journeys in, growth in business, in work, in your professional career at least, right? So coming into understanding now, there are at least 1 in 10 adults that have started investing in for the first time in the during the pandemic, right? Now these could be different streams. It doesn't necessarily have to be crypto. I know we talk about crypto a lot on the buzz, but now this can be different investments as well. If it's gold, if it's stocks, if it's forex. So coming into understanding, talking about the numbers again, this is 9% of adults that have actually started, investing in different streams or different approaches as to how they can keep their net worth increasing, because the banks necessarily have been, starting to get exposed, and there are so many alternatives that are coming out. Now we do see crypto, we do see the blockchain, we do see so much of, our alternatives to keeping your money in the bank. Now when I say keeping your money in the bank, your assets here are, although you might get an interest fee, you might get a particular small amount of interest, right? But you need to understand that there's so many people like Grant Cardone, there's people like, Mike Lowry. These guys are basically talking about how you can go to a point of, becoming broke, at least because of the fact that inflation in, your countries basically are reducing the value of your money. Now if you are looking at increasing your net worth, you need to come to a point where you are investing in assets that are appreciating or pushing out more value, more money through these. Now if these are systems, if these are businesses, if it is a car versus a house, right? Which actually changes with time, which actually, what channel actually changes with time in terms of, its net worth, at least. Now coming into understanding again, the lower interest rates in cash savings are basically more prompt to consider investing, right? Because of the fact that if you are talking about how these rewards from investing may be potentially higher, there are risks that are as big as these potential wins, right? Now a lot of us have come into, there's like I spoke about yesterday, the platform Discord. Now Discord does get a lot of gamers together, it does get a lot of crypto stock exchanges, the stock brokers all together. But then you need to understand the risks of these. Just like I talk about how cryptocurrencies are different. It's as important as understanding a different company, right? You need to understand who is behind it, who is backing it, what their goals are, and where they're looking at going down the line, right? So it's only if you believe in these that you need to go up. And I mean, certain currencies look at investing in different things in terms of if it is uh, reducing a carbon footprint, if it is just going into diffusion into different approaches on spending. So you need to be aware of all these, right? Now, Manuel Gonzalez, he's basically the Halifax of share dealing, right? Now he talks about how no investment is risk free. I think this is standard, the mandatory statement we all know. And talking about how these regardless of what trades you make, the more time you have to spare, and the more time you spend dipping your foot into different streams of income or different portfolios. These are how you actually come to a point where you understand. You have to fail a little, you have to understand the waters, you have to test the waters, and you need to come to a point where you understand different possibilities. Even if you lose, you need to learn why you lost. It's not just a matter of thinking in the mind of a day trader. Now 18 to 24-year-olds are more likely to understand for their first time. Now if they invest, with about 16% of them are proven to start investing in the last year. Now this is during the pandemic, right? And coming further into understanding how the use of social media channels, like I said, Discord, Twitter, Instagram, all these channels are, even TikTok, right? Now all these channels are hot in terms of content, the value of content people are putting out, the tips people are putting out, and the insight on investing. And even now, let's say, even if I have my own Twitter or TikTok, even if it's my own Instagram, I'd invest in 5 different cryptocurrencies, and then come to a point where I basically I keep gauging, or I keep analyzing, I keep reporting to my audience on what is happening, what is going up, what is going down, what is reacting to what is. When I say what is reacting to what, I mean if it is within these three to five cryptocurrencies, or regardless of what someone like Elon Musk says, what external factors there are. Now Elon Musk alone, coming to this conversation, he was talking about how he feels like if there is a scandal to do anything with him, right? Now he said that you'll if by I mean he basically tweeted something in the lines of saying that if by any chance he comes across a scandal, or if he faces a scandal, he is going to basically just so people call it elongated, right? Now straight after this, or soon after this, basically there was a cryptocurrency by the name of Elongate, and this just spiked up like crazy within minutes to half an hour after this tweet. Now things like these do impact the interest rates, or things like these do impact the value of these cryptocurrencies. And coming down the line, now talking about how another survey basically showed that the more spare time that people have was a main interest for people becoming interested in investments, right? Now if you are at home, I mean, now last year alone we had a lot of time to ourselves, right? So this just exposed a lot of us to different channels, different streams, and then different, obviously your interests are going to be explored, or your interests are what are going to be complemented in these content streams, because that's how these apps are developed, right? Now talking about nearly about a 25% of these millennials had spoken about how they had more time to research options. There's about 1 in 6 people talk about how they have more time to arrange investments. Now these are very important things. Now you get a lot of millionaires talking even on social media, even if it's YouTube, if it's TikTok, they talk about it. How, I mean, one popular quote here I've come across with myself is that you might come to a point where you might understand, regardless of how much you earn, it's not about making the money, it's about keeping the money. Now we've heard about so many basketball players, so many baseball players that have basically earned millions, right? Now this is I'm talking tens of millions over there, or even hundreds of millions over their career. But the minute they quit their job, the minute they retire, they go broke. Now, this is a sad thing to see, but it's what I'm talking about is how important it is for you to keep your money. It's so I'm going to just quickly break down a way as to how you can look at your investments. And they have this thing called the 40-30-20 rule, right? Now when they talk about this, it's they mean 40% of your income you need to put into your bills. We do have a cost, right? I mean, nothing is free in this life, right? So it's just a matter of instead of spending more of your money, you put the 30% into investments, and the rest of the 30 basically you put into your own entertainment or whatever you want to. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I myself, I'm a victim to spending all my money or my salary within a particular month. But then you come to a point where you learn that it's the long term you need to be more conscious about, or more concerned about, because I mean your responsibilities are only going to keep increasing in time, right? No one's going to look after you, right? So to come to a point where you are going to be looking after other people, if it's your family, if it's your wife, if it is your your parents. So these are all things that you need to make sure that you are looking at in terms of growth, or in terms of progress. So coming down the line, 1 in 5 people now have looked at increasing their investments in the start of the pandemic, right? Because now, just like if I myself a fan of Chamat Palihapitiya, now he talks about how if you are looking at talking about Bitcoin, you are not supposed to push in more than 1% of your net worth into cryptocurrency. So things like that. It's just a matter of being aware. It's just a matter of being conscious about your costs. Understanding where your costs are going, your money is going, and then even understanding about how even women are more likely to invest in different streams of income, or different stocks or forex, for that instance. By about 42%, this number has increased. Now, this number was about 25% in about 5 to 10 years ago. So these are cool numbers. This is so interesting to see that the I'd say the millionaire mindset is shared around more, and people value this more. People are learning to think of the long term. They're understanding as to how it's just a matter of understanding how you keep your money, and how you grow your money, instead of just spending it all around, right? Now, talking about how record numbers, even on particular platforms, there were so many record numbers in terms of how much of money people were pushing out from banks into these stock markets or forex, or if it's crypto, just planning their financial future, right? So coming further, understanding stocks and shares, these are all options now. That obviously banking and utilities, the travel companies, these are almost so after a couple of sectors or a couple of quarters, right? But investing in global firms, this has become very popular. Investing in UK businesses, these are all popular opinions, or these are popular paths that people are taking now. And it's so happy to see, because it does provide a more decentralized sense of strength, or more decentralized sense of I'd say. And then talking about how your first step, I mean, if I'm looking at motivation, right? If you're looking at motivation, or a bit of a pep talk before you put your first investment into something, it's not the most easy thing to do, because you are risking it. But then you need to consider the fact that if you don't put your head into it, you might regret it down the line as well. So coming further down the line, putting some of this aside, you might even want to start with 20 pounds a month. Now, it's not that you need at least £1 million or 10 million pounds to start investing. I mean, 20 pounds a month, you could keep stacking this up and coming into a point where this all grows on an exponential figure, right? And coming down the line, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now, to add you to a bit more statistics, I'm going to talk about how many people just in the last year have been starting investing, or surveyed across the UK. There's been 2,000 people that have been starting their investments in different streams, or different streams of income. So guys, this is the buzz. I want you guys to stay tuned right here. I'm with you all days, Monday to Friday. Now, everything business, tech, entrepreneurship related. I want you to guys stay tuned on the buzz, and I'll be right back with you tomorrow. Same time, same place.